Hi guys, how are you today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. For those of you who are new, my name's Eva, and for those of you who are coming back, as always, thank you so much for coming back. Welcome to another MLM shit show. And today we're back for another few MLM horror stories. I've been doing these a little bit less than usual, but I'm gonna try to keep it at like once a month, even though I think it's been a lot longer than 1 month since the last one. Before we go into them, please click that like and subscribe button, take a look at the graph, and as always, leave your commentary down below about some of these stories. I'm a little bit scared about like how am I going to read today, because my focus hasn't been the best today, but hopefully I will not have too much trouble with reading. Only one way to find out, am I right? Let's get into the first story. The first story is called "This Hun Used Her Job at a Dental Office to Approach Us in the Toothpaste Aisle." I think the title says everything. Husband and I were at Walmart 2 days ago in the toothpaste aisle. I hear someone say something but ignored it, thinking they were talking to someone else. But when I turned, this girl asks me if I go to a certain dental office, and I do. She tells us she's the receptionist there, and we looked familiar. They were still wearing masks last I was there, which is why I couldn't pinpoint it. We end up making small talk for a bit, but for some reason it's not ending when it normally should. Thought it was weird that she kept wanting to talk more, ask about our jobs, kids, etc. I figured she was being friendly. I stupidly said that I wasn't too happy where I was working anymore and have just been browsing work from home jobs that wouldn't make me take a pay cut. She starts agreeing. She is looking for something too, might go work with her husband, and then she says they also have something on the side, a type of e-commerce. That's when I knew. She immediately says that we should meet up for some coffee and talk, and pulls her phone that second to take my number. I should have given a fake number, but the first thought in my head was, what if she texts it right away and tells me to make sure I got it? So yep, gave her my number, and when we're saying bye, she mentions again about setting up a time to have coffee and talk so that she can help me out with a few things. We walk away, and I tell my husband it's an MLM, the job thing, insisting of meeting up, the e-commerce thing, making conversation, it's a fucking MLM. Then I realized, since I've read so many accounts on here, it was no coincidence we saw her in the toothpaste aisle, as she's probably using the dentist office excuse to find people. I completely ignored her message, and she sent me another one today giving me 3 times and dates she has to meet up this week. What the actual heck? I hope she is no longer at the dentist's office when I have to go back in a few months. Thanks y'all for showing me the signs, and hopefully I can do better if this happens again. That's good to see that Reddit is actually making people more and more aware to recognize these kind of things, but it's really awful that yeah, she's using the dentist's office to, but yeah, that's like the teacher that sells in school and put the brochures in kids' bags and stuff like that. It's really nasty, but not surprising, unfortunately. All right, next story. A very sweet older nurse tried to sign me up for Amway. Speaking of people recruiting at their work, this was some time ago when I was working in the OR. A very friendly old nurse randomly started asking me questions, not the sort of "how was your weekend," but "what are your dreams, and do you find yourself too smart for this job?" What? Random, but I indulged her. She went on to tell me that she has 2 friends who are starting a company. Now, both of these friends are highly educated. One has a master's and the other one a PhD in computer science. I immediately thought of a startup. Now, I'm not so tech savvy to be able to really contribute, but thought it would be interesting to hear about it. I spoke to them on the phone and they were very nice. I inquired about their company, name, goals, what type of a startup. I was told it would be better to tell you in person. I don't know why I always do that, because she's just quoting them, but anyway, this was the first red flag. I eventually meet them at the local coffee shop along with the nurse. We chat and they start going with their pitch. They showed me a couple of products that they are selling. I was disappointed, as it was not the kind of tech startup I imagined. He handed me some sort of energy powder that you would throw in your water. I flip it over to look at the ingredients, and that is when I see the word Amway in the bold lettering in the corner. I immediately thought, oh no, MLM, and they got this poor nurse into it. They break open their tablet and showing me how I would make money and how much money they made. It was hilarious. Their graphic for showing how to get more people working for you was 1 bubble getting 2 bubbles, getting 4 bubbles, and so on. I was this close to just taking their tablet and turning it right side up, showing a pyramid. Imagine that. I thanked them and went home. They contacted me several times, which I ignored. I saw the nurse in the OR and told her that this was not for me. She took it very well. I hope she got out. Poor nurse. I hope she's out too. Next one. A friendship that ended over an MLM. Unfortunately, not the first or the last one that we've seen in the MLM horror stories. I've always been against MLMs. I grew up in a cult. I'm very sensitive to cult-like behavior. Oh my god. I'm sorry to hear that. Any MLMs are cults, whether you like it or not. Just think of the seminars that these MLMs give where people are fawing over the most successful of the MLM. My friend, we'll call her Kelly, worked for Continental Airlines before Continental was bought out by United. She was a flight attendant. She did very well financially. I think it was the 2008 recession that caused Kelly to lose her job with Continental. I'm not sure. I just know she was no longer working for them. Needless to say, she calls me one day and tells me she's got an exciting opportunity for me to take vacation at a discounted rate. I told her no, that MLMs exhibit cult-like behavior, and honestly anything that will exhibit cult-like behavior can be extremely traumatic for me. She said all she wants me to do is go watch the videos online and tell me what I think. I told her that first, I'm in the same financial situation as millions other people. Even if I wanted to take vacation, I couldn't afford it. Second, I'm not getting involved. I draw a line in the sand at MLMs. If she opened a legit business, I would be happy to help her out, but MLMs are seriously the worst thing out there. She said I didn't love her as a friend, and then she promptly ended our friendship. Even 12 years later, we're still not friends. I don't think she's in the MLM anymore, at least I hope not, but it's sad she had to end a solid relationship over that. I'm so sorry. Like, first of all, I'm really sorry to hear that you grew up in a cult. I can't even begin to imagine how awful and traumatic it has to be for you, but honestly, I mean, I know there's a chance that she was so brainwashed that she couldn't see things from your perspective, but I feel like a true friend would care about your past trauma and not try to force you into something that would trigger you, if you know what I mean. So I feel like she wasn't that great of a friend. Maybe she was, but maybe she was too selfish, or maybe she was too brainwashed. She tried once, and then the fact that she didn't give up after you said no and that it's too traumatic for you, that's kind of disrespectful. Next one. Embarrassed at how long it took me to realize I was being recruited into Amway. For context, by the time this happened, I was already well versed in the evil of MLMs, frequently watched anti-MLM documentaries, videos, and knew that it was something I would never do. I think that Amway recognizes this, and that's why their recruitment process is so sneaky. The name Amway didn't come up at all for weeks while I was going through this. Also, I realized that I can be very naive. I always say my worst personality trait is I always automatically assume that people are honest with good intentions rather than remaining skeptical until proven otherwise. I used to be like that as well. I've been stabbed in the back way too many times, so I became very, very skeptical and I don't trust anyone. In December of 2020, I was at Target when a random lady complimented my mask. It had a clear window in the mouth because I'm a teacher and they worked better for me. From there, we got to talking about teaching because she was an SLP at the elementary school. After a couple of minutes, her wife came to the aisle and joined in on the conversation, and then it started to swift towards finances, and they told me that they don't want to work forever, so they try to always get ahead. I echoed the feeling, and they say they had mentors they were working with who are able to become independently wealthy and retire by 30. Oh, there's such a big red flag right there. And said that they might be able to connect me. Of course, that sounded great to me, so we exchanged contact info and later set up a Zoom meeting. They didn't use any of the MLM red flag words like business owner, be your own boss, etc. So I, being naive, thought I was going to get investing advice or something. Of course, looking back, it's so obvious. On the Zoom, the couple from Target asked me questions like, are you process focused or goal focused? And do you make decisions on your own, or do you need to consult others first? And then asked if I had ever had any bad experiences with a multi-level marketing company, because this isn't anything like that. Oh, for sure. That is such a red flag. Aww. They then asked me to read a book, Who Moved My Cheese, and check back in with them in 2 to 3 days. Still no red red flags, girl. There's so many red flags here. Typing this out now, of course, I feel silly. Next Zoom, we talk about the book and the messages I got from it and what stood out to me. Then they tell me that they can try to get me into this Zoom meeting with their mentors, but it is super exclusive and has limited spots, of course. So they would keep me updated. I'm instructed to dress business formal and have a pen and notepad and ask a lot of questions to help me stand out or show that I'm serious about this. At this point, I was happily telling my mom about it, but I insisted that it wasn't anything MLM related and that I felt so lucky to have gotten this opportunity. She later told me that she saw the red flags but wanted to give me the benefit of the doubt. Finally, the Zoom comes with the mentors. There are like 10 to 12 people in the meeting. We were all told to put the name of whoever invited us into our display name on Zoom and get started. The whole first hour is just talking about general financial stuff and how terrible it is to work 9 to 5 for 40 years. They start explaining an analogy comparing this opportunity to rap artists. Eminem was working hard making music and touring, etc., but wanted to have more time to spend with his daughter. So Dr. Dre taught him how to start a record label, and now Eminem helps manage other artists to get the benefit financially without having to spend so much time on the road. Oh my god. It took until over an hour into the meeting for them to finally say Amway, and even then I'm still wanting to give the benefit of the doubt because I thought I'm too smart to ever get sucked into an MLM. Maybe they're just using Amway as an example to explain something, but nope. Then they start going into all the levels and how many people you need to recruit before you are financially free and all the other nonsense. I was so embarrassed that I had gotten this far without realizing it was an MLM the whole time. I immediately left the Zoom, blocked the numbers of the couple who invited me, and called my mom and just said I got duped. She immediately responded it was a pyramid scheme, wasn't it? Now I totally realize my own faults for not seeing the signs. I can laugh at myself about it. I'm just grateful that I didn't end up giving them any of my money besides buying that stupid book, but at least I just got it at Barnes & Noble. Yeah, it sucks that you even bought the book. Next one. A positive step for my Hun sister. I love my older sister, but I don't agree with a lot of her choices. She has been a Hun for about 5 years now. She also loves to support other Hun friends who sell oils and shakes, etc. She's a qualified early childhood educator and runs an outside school hours care program. However, she's currently on leave and will probably quit her job because she doesn't want to get the COVID vaccine. Like I said, I don't agree with a lot of her choices, but a conversation the other day has given me so much hope. Anyway, she sent me a text the other night asking about a few different websites, online stores, and mentioned that she was doing some research for a business idea, a new business idea. Of course, I immediately thought, oh, what MLM is she joining now? But just ask, oh, what's the business? She messaged back telling me how she's had this idea to develop a business selling sort of subscription boxes for kids' crafts, but also sensory and educational activities. She started telling me all about how she follows a few businesses who do that with really basic crafts, and she was telling a friend that she thought that it was silly who would buy a subscription box when they can just buy craft supplies and make up their own crafts. The friend was like, oh god, I'm not creative at all. I'd pay someone to plan out crafts activities for my kids, and hence the idea was born. I was crazy supportive of her, telling her how it's awesome, how it's an awesome way to use her educational knowledge, and I would be happy to help if she needed ideas. I was just so excited to hear that it wasn't an MLM. It's early days and maybe nothing will come out of it, but I'm hopeful that maybe she's taking those first steps away from the MLM world. Fingers crossed. I didn't see any updates when I was taking this screenshot, so I really do hope that she's away from MLMs finally. And the last one for today, had 4 hours of my day wasted by World Life Financial Group. 4 hours is a lot. I had a friend from college reach out to me about buying life insurance. I'm actually in the market, so he convinced me to go down and talk with this rep supposedly associated with Transamerica. The office was a little shady, but nothing too suspicious. However, there were no markings or signs anywhere in the building or on the inside. So I sit down with this guy who has a plaque after plaque behind him. Actually did make me think that he was credible. The entire time I thought this was Transamerica. Anyway, he starts trying to convince me to buy his life insurance policy and just did not seem legit. I have never heard of a policy that you can borrow against so easily, which was really his main pitch. This is when I get suspicious. When it was clear I wasn't going to buy insurance insurance, he started to basically tell me how I seemed really smart and that I could be my own boss, which I already am, and start selling insurance after I get my license. So he went from trying to sell me a product to literally just trying to convince me to work for his company. And this guy did not seem financially literate. It was definitely suspicious when he tried to show me something on his computer, and he just happened to show me how much money he made for that week and said he gets paid twice a week. After doing some research, I found out the name of the actual company, World Financial Group, obviously a pyramid scheme. Made for a pretty interesting day. World Financial Group, so I've never heard of them actually. That might be something for a video in the future. Let me know down below if you want me to cover the financial MLM companies as well. I think I spoke about Amway, but not Primerica, and this is another one that we could do in the future. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna wrap that up here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a like, subscribe to my channel for more content. As always, thank you so much for all of your support that I've been receiving. If you're not coming from social media, feel free to check me out. My Instagram link is gonna be down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.